To start off in this location, you have this component here that's part of the system that holds the top of the strut in position. This is one of the fasteners that you need to remove so that you can take the strut out of the vehicle. In this location, behind the black protective coverings, you've got your cables that allow the driver to operate the headlight aim. When you load the back of the car with lots of stuff, the back of the car sits low down and the front rises up. So that's why you need to adjust headlight aim. Over to this location, you have your brake fluid cap with tank. There is a sensor on the tank that tells the driver if the brake fluid is running low in the tank. If the brake fluid ran too low, you could have potentially a situation where air would enter into the system via the tank. In any engine compartment these days, you will have this component here that's known as your heat shield. Heat shields are used to protect components from heat damage. Moving over here, you can see your master cylinder. You have two pipes going from the master cylinder to your ABS modulator. One pipe feeds one braking circuit, the other one feeds the other braking circuit. By law, you've got to have two braking circuits. If one fails, the other one takes over. Even though this has drum brakes on the rear, you still have disc brakes up front. A vacuum brake booster is still needed to provide power assistance for the driver. Without that, you would need to use a lot more force to operate the brake pedal. This pipe feeds brake fluid to your clutch control circuit. Moving over here, you have both of your pipes that go to and from your heater matrix. The heater matrix is used to heat up the cabin. What it is basically a mini radiator. When you push air through it, it will heat up that air going through it and thus warming up the cabin. To assist service personnel getting rid of any airlocks from the cooling system, you have one of your bleed nipples here. Airlocks in a cooling system is very, very bad news because it can cause the engine to overheat. So that is why you need to bleed the cooling system. Moving the camera over here, you have your oil filler cap and dipstick. Underneath the valve cover, you've got your valve train. Behind the dipstick, you've got one of your engine crane hook attachment locations. To the right of that, you've got your pre-catalytic converter lambda sensor. This sensor is used to tell the engine control unit the air-fuel ratio going out of the turbine housing of the turbocharger. The turbocharger, which some of it is located behind the heat shield, is used to boost the engine's power by forcing more air into the engine. Typically, on a modern petrol engine, you have a coil and plug system. Now, what the coil packs are used for are to step up the voltages to very, very, very high voltages, so the spark can jump the spark plug electrode gap. This pipe here and check valve are part of your evap system. This pipe here takes air from the turbocharger compressor housing inlet to the inlet of the intercooler. These two pipes here are part of your dump valve system. When you close the throttle suddenly in a turbocharged engine, it will suddenly cause a pressure rise behind the throttle body, potentially creating a problem. To solve this issue, you have your dump valve system. This pipe is part of the dump valve itself. Underneath the dump valve, you have your fuel rail. The rail is there, so it provides equal fuel pressure to each fuel injector. On top of the rail, you have a pipe that's part of your crankcase breather system. Also in this location, you have your transmission vent, your other engine crane hook attachment point, and other components. What I'm pointing at right now is your throttle body. This is used to regulate how much air is going into the engine. Just underneath your dump valve pipe, you've got your fuel pressure regulator. The fuel pressure regulator is used to regulate how much pressure is in the fuel rail. Just in front of the dump valve pipes, you've got your air intake pipe. These are the holes that are part of the system that reduces induction raw. Moving over here, you've got your 12-volt battery. On the battery itself, you've got your battery grab handle. You also have your positive post cover and negative post. On a start-stop vehicle, a lot of parameters need to be met so the start-stop system can operate. So one of the sensors that are used is your battery monitoring sensor. This sensor is used to tell the engine control unit battery health. Underneath the battery, you've got your battery tray. The tray is there to hold up the battery. And this is one of the components that are used to hold the battery in position. Over here, you've got one of your power distribution box lids. Now you may see a couple of these lines. One of them are used to operate your bonnet latch. The other one is used as part of another one on the other side so that the driver can adjust headlight aim from the operator's cabin. You've got a couple of electrical connectors here that's part of your engine control unit. The engine control unit takes in inputs from various sensors and compares that to its internal memory to then control the actuators. To the left of the ECU, you've got your air filter box. Inside the box, you've got your air filter element. The element is used to minimize dirt, debris, and mud from going into the engine. Over here, you've got your washer fluid cap. Moving to this location, you can just see your horn. When you press the horn button in this car, you tell a control unit to operate a relay to operate the horn. Also in this location, you've got your electrical connector that is used to control and power the headlight. Also one of your service covers that you can remove to gain access to the headlight. And your tank to store excess power steering fluid. At the front of the engine compartment, you've got your radiator. The radiator is used to cool the engine down when the thermostat is opened. Very important with any cooling system is your radiator fan. The fan is used to draw in air into the radiator when the vehicle is not moving. In this location, located below the three pipes, you have your engine mount bracket. The engine bracket attaches this side of the transaxle to one of your engine mounts here. Inside that mount, you've got rubber that reduces vibrations going into the cabin. In this location, you can see your tube that has your dipstick. Also in this location, you can see your auxiliary belt system. In this location, you can just see your right-hand drive shaft. To the right of my video, you've got a series of numbers that are part of your catalytic converter holder. The catalytic converter is used to turn harmful emissions into less harmful emissions. So, for example, it converts carbon monoxide into carbon dioxide. Top left of my video, you've got your steering rack. Also in the back of the engine compartment, you have your flexible pipe for your exhaust system, transmission selector cables, and other components. Moving forward from one of your bleed nipple covers on one of the coolant pipes, you have your ABS modulator. The ABS modulator is used to prevent the wheels locking up during hard braking, but it's also used for other systems. In this location, towards the center of my video, you have your intake manifold plenum. It's important to have a plenum in an intake manifold because it's there to take the air at equal pressure to each intake port. Also on this manifold, you have your MAP sensor. The manifold absolute pressure sensor is used to tell the engine control unit the pressure in the manifold. You can also see on the bottom of my video, in more detail, you have your alternator. The alternator is used to power the 12-volt system when the engine is operating. Turning the camera 180 degrees, you can see your intercooler. When you compress air, it heats up. So, to cool this air down, you have an intercooler. Thank you very much for watching my video and goodbye.